What are we going to do here this week? We're going to build our community.
Gas in the tank, got my bags in the back. I got nothing but dreams and I'm okay with that. I never listen when they tell me to stop. I got energy to burn, I love the view from the top, yeah. I gotta keep on moving. I gotta keep on.
Had some solid effort in the putt-putt pavilion last night.
My mama always told me that I couldn't sit still. I gotta keep on moving. I gotta keep on moving. I gotta keep on moving.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, IT Nation. This is Dan, and back with you for another IT Nation Connect Europe 2026 live stream. Back at home for this one, as you can see, and also I've got a voice and everything. Thank you for those that sort of watched me struggle through the last one. Hopefully the voice made it to the end and you could hear everything and all that fun stuff. But yeah, back with a little bit more wind in the sails, should we say, for this one, and looking forward to it. IT Nation Connect Europe, of course, is coming up soon, the 9th to the 11th of March at the Hilton London Metropole. If you haven't yet registered, there are still all access passes remaining. Remember, our event last year, we completely ran out of passes, which is a wonderful problem to have when you've got to investigate how our registration platform does some form of queuing system. That was a good extra little exercise to have to go through, but it's not something that we want you to get caught in this year. So what are you waiting for? As we're talking, get the website open in another tab at theitnation.com, and you can be having a look at everything that we've got in store for you at the community at IT Nation Connect Europe 2026. Coming up hot and fast. Now, of course, what is the event all about? It is about creating value. It is about giving everyone who joins us across the 3 days the tools, the knowledge, the experience, and the community that they need to make and take rest of 2026 and make it big and beyond. We are joined, as you can see, by rockstar community speakers, your peers in the industry, as well as our ConnectWise experts, who are there to give you the peer-to-peer knowledge as well as the expert knowledge that you need in order to unlock success for you, your teams, and your business this year and beyond. Those that know me know that something I say quite a lot is the most important thing that you will ever invest is your time. It is the one thing that none of us have enough of, and it is our job here in the community team in order to make this conference come to life and repay the investment that you're all making with us to join us at the event. We cannot wait to see you there. Remember, 9th to the 11th of March at the Hilton London Metropole for IT Nation Connect Europe 2026. And what's in this show? What have we got coming up today? Well, today is a taster of just some of the value and some of what makes IT Nation Connect Europe so special. We've got 3 of our industry leading workshop leaders coming up and ready to share their expertise and their knowledge with you and talk about what they've got in store for you in their workshops that are coming up at IT Nation Connect Europe. So what am I talking about when it comes to workshops? Well, this year we are going big when it comes to workshop content. We listened to the feedback, as we always do. Thank you to all those that sat and filled out a feedback survey. I promise you they were not going into the void. They were actually going into a spreadsheet that myself and the team review and are passionate about reviewing, because it means that we can tweak next year's event to make it even better for you. One of the big outputs that came from that was we want more educational content. We want to bring our teams to this event because we had such an amazing time. We learned so much, and we don't want to be the only person that goes back to the business and then has to explain all of this, because it's really hard. We come back full of ideas. I'm sure you've been there, bouncing off the walls of all these great things you want to tell everyone. And then you got to realize everybody else just had a week in the office and they're sort of looking at you up from the desk a little bit funny of like, huh? Are you all right? We want to change that. And we were told unequivocally, if you can put on more educational content, that gives us what we need in order to justify bringing our team members out of the office and bringing some of them along to experience the conference. So that's what we did. Exactly what you wanted. And this year we have over 36 hours of workshop content running on Monday. So what do I mean by a workshop? I mean interactive. I mean live. I mean the audience learning from each other as well as from the expert at the front of the room. And also, by the way, the other way around, our experts learning from our community, because that's what it's all about here at IT Nation. And so we want to bring those in-depth educational workshops to the community so that we can repay that investment that you make with the time of your team. So that's exactly what we've gone and done. And we're going to be hearing from our workshop leaders a little bit later on in this call, or at least some of them. As I said, 36 plus hours, everything across the board, from service delivery and leadership all the way through to sales, through new business and hunting, to account management and farming, marketing, cybersecurity, automation, you name it, we've got it covered. And they're all completely and utterly free and included in your all access pass for the event. So there is one pass, and that includes all of our content. And so we can't wait to bring that to life at this year's event. It's new, it's big, and it's different, and it comes exactly from your feedback from last year's event. But before we bring out our panel, everybody, let's talk about keynotes, shall we? Guest keynotes specifically. Now, choosing keynote speakers in the IT Nation is really hard. I'll let you in on a secret in team meetings. It's really, really hard. We've had some amazing guest keynotes at IT Nation Connect events over the years. Jesse Cole from the Savannah Bananas, who remembers that one? Who's watching this on a clip? I don't think I'll ever forget that one. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Simon Sinek, Daniel Pink, Lee Cockerell, the former EVP of Walt Disney World. Wow, that was a special hour and a half together in London in 2023. And of course, Daniel Priestley, our keynote speaker at IT Nation Connect Europe in 2025, just last year at the Hilton London Metropole. And that's just to name a few of them. Just a few of some of the rockstar lineup that we bring in order to bring value to the community at our conferences. So when we sit down to plan a new event, so when the team and I sit down and there's a blank whiteboard, everyone just sort of looks at each other and says, no pressure. Yeah, look at no pressure on this one, eh? Who's we going to bring in this time? We don't just start with a list of names. What we do is we start with what the community needs. We start with that North Star. And then we look at who we can bring in to make that challenge or opportunity possible. Who can we bring in to bring that to life? What are the needs of the community? And then second of all, who do we bring who can serve that need or opportunity? Who can we bring to make that come to life and set us up for success in the year and more following? Well, this year, we all know MSPs have reached the next great curve jump in our industry. And that curve jump, of course, is automation and AI. So we've gone from break fix to managed services. We'll remember that one, I'm sure. We were just IT companies, sorry, when I first started. No, MSP was new. I remember when that first came about. It's like, what's one of those then? Then we went from on-premise to cloud. In the middle, we also had a little bit of all hardware to virtualization, and that changed the quantum of how much hardware we were buying. Then we pretty much stopped buying most server hardware altogether when we went from on-premise to cloud. And by the way, for those listening and currently hurling stuff at the screen, we'll temporarily ignore OpenClaw and the sudden rush to go out and buy a Mac Mini. So just park that one. I know the people are crying out about the great return to on-prem, but we'll just park the Mac Mini gold rush for just a second. Then we had cybersecurity becoming really front page news and becoming really what we had to anchor our business around. Every one of our clients to be safe and to be secure. And now, really the greatest of them all, AI. The great AI wave. What will it not touch? There's no angle or aspect of anyone's business, be it the MSP business or all of your clients, that will not be impacted in some way, shape or form by AI. And compared to most technologies, it's a ground up revolution. It's one of those where people are coming in, having used it, have the tools in their own life and their own personal lives and trying it and being shown it by other people. It's not a top down drive. It's not something that we've got to sit in a QBR and desperately try and explain. I remember having BCDR conversations with clients around 10 years ago and having to come up with ways that we could position the terminology around BCDR in a way that would make sense to clients. AI, it's the other way around. If anything, many people in your clients are probably using it significantly more in their own lives than perhaps we are in our businesses yet. It's really a bottom-up revolution. But MSPs don't just have to be AI experts. Your clients need even more. MSPs, as I see it, you sit at the intersection, really at that crossroads of AI on one side and automation and the need to do more with less and drive efficiencies and automate process, but also human experience. This is an industry that's founded on people buying from people. It always has been, and in my opinion, at least for the foreseeable, I hope, it always will be. So how can you simultaneously be the experts who are automating and accelerating and yet still lead amazing teams and create leaders that your clients truly value. You know, when I would imagine most people sitting here today, if a prospect was to ask you, what's so special about your business? Because we work with a technology company, what's different about you? I imagine one of the first words out of your mouth would be people or team, because that's what truly makes our businesses unique. So how can we keep that uniqueness, and how can we really lean into that in a world of hyper automation and AI? And that's where this year's guest keynote came from. That's where the idea came from. None other, of course, as you can see on screen. Thank you to Simon, of course, who's producing in the background as always. We have 5 a.m. Simon this time, and we have another contender who will be on the call, but we'll talk about that one a little bit more in a while. None other than Jake Humphrey and Damian Hughes from High Performance. One of the global leading podcasts, everybody from Hollywood actors to Formula One team principals, Formula One drivers, Olympic athletes, former presidents of the United States, you name it, the good and the great have been on High Performance. Premiership footballers, Premiership managers, everybody, the world's leading high performers. We wanted to bring those global lessons of high performance, of amazing human performance to the IT Nation in our keynote, High Performance Lessons, Performance, Purpose, and People in the Age of AI. We're going to be bringing those lessons from the globe's highest performers around mindset, behavior, and team culture, with the examples that we need, that we can learn from as we get comfortable leading in the age of AI and use it to accelerate. Somebody once said to me a couple of years ago, and I loved it, I've been using it ever since, to be aggressively human in an increasingly digital world. And I loved it, absolutely loved it. It was Hans Meyer. Thank you, Hans, if you're watching. The MSP market is evolving more rapidly than ever before. We're bringing the people and the tools for you to do the same at IT Nation Connect Europe 2026. But enough from me. As you all know, I go on too much. Let's hear from Jake and Damian.
Hey everyone, it's your favourite podcast hosts here, Jake and Damian. Just very quickly saying we can't wait to see you at IT Nation Connect Europe on March the 11th, where we're going to share so many lessons and learnings from our podcast, but crucially, we're going to explain to you that in a world of constant AI growth and potential dominance, that actually you as individuals can still have an impact and still stand out.
That's right, Jake. We're going to look at 3 key areas. We're going to look at mindset, behaviours and culture. And more importantly, how you can apply them into your world.
We can't wait to see you, so be ready because the boys from High Performance are coming.
And it's an absolute Formula One fanboy, not afraid to admit it. Really excited about that because I'm sure Jake's F1, Rolodex, showing my age there, phone book is pretty nifty. So looking forward to hearing all of those stories and more on our high performance journey at IT Nation Connect Europe 2026. But how else, other than our guest keynotes, how do you make sense of it all? How do you make sense of the world that's coming, of the great curve jump that's ahead of us? Our 3 keynotes, our opening keynote featuring none other than, of course, ConnectWise CEO Manny Ravello, followed on day 2 by our innovation keynote with ConnectWise CTPO David Resipor and Mary Frances Benveltzen, our Chief Customer Officer, just to name a few. We're bringing the great and the good out to help you and give you the information and the tools that you need at IT Nation Connect Europe 2026. And of course, hot off the press, we are going to be joined by none other than Lee Silverstone from Zofik, the latest member of the ConnectWise family, to come in and join the ConnectWise family. Of course, looking forward to hearing all about how those AI benefits are going to be coming to the ConnectWise platform very, very soon and more. So remember, in 2025, we had to flex the muscles of the queuing system within our registration platform. So don't fall foul of it in 2026, because we will have to do the same. Head to theitnation.com to find out more, see the full agenda, see all of the details of some of the workshops that we're going to be talking about very shortly, see all of our breakout sessions, see all of your friends and peers from the community who have taken the brave step to lead a workshop and a breakout at IT Nation Connect Europe 2026. We thank them. This community is built on community sharing and peer sharing with one another, learning from each other, what works, what doesn't work, and how we can all be successful as a community this year and beyond. That's the principle of everything that we do. So without further ado, let's welcome today's panelists. You've heard from me, but it's not about me. So let's hear from all of our panelists today. So we are joined by none other. There's Simon on pressing the buttons. We've got Mr. Chris Cooke from Ethicai. Come on, Simon, let's get some more. We got more than that. Unleash from the green room, and Mr. Matt Topper, my colleague from ConnectWise, or as he is known affectionately today as 3 a.m. Matt. We have 5 a.m. Simon, and we have 3 a.m. Matt. So, without me doing introductions and butchering you all horribly, please take it away. Let's introduce the community to yourselves, and what you're going to be bringing to IT Nation Connect Europe, and of course the companies that you represent. So, Chris, take it away.
Hey Dan, thanks. Wow, what an introduction. Yeah, good to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm Chris Cooke from Ethicai. So Ethicai, we are not an AI company, despite the name, just named it really poorly before the boom. So Ethicai is a portmanteau on ethical and ikigai. And for those of you who don't know, ikigai is about kind of purpose and fulfillment and community. So very happy to be here. So what we do is we look at businesses from an operational perspective, very specifically MSPs. We look at where they're trying to get to. A great analogy is when was the last time you sat in a car and you're driving for 45 minutes and somebody said to you, "Where are you going?" And you said, "I don't know, I haven't worked it out yet." It doesn't happen, does it? Yet this is how we run businesses all the time. So you mentioned a few things before about North Star and working out who the keynotes are and things like that. It's very much the same with an MSP in the business that we're running. What is the North Star? How are we getting there? So we focus very much on the vision and the people that make it happen, because really that's the differentiator in a business nowadays, the people that you have working. And yeah, with that, we're going to be talking about service delivery, because service delivery, that's what our workshop's all about. This is not about SLAs and metrics and things like that. This is about service delivery is not necessarily a department. Service delivery is an output.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing. It's I love what you said about we're just going to get in the car and drive, because how many people when they're really honest with themselves can look back and say, actually, do you know what? There's a bit of that. We just thought we'd see what happens. And we might have some goals down on a piece of paper because it seemed like the right thing to do. But truth be told, we just put one foot in front of the other and we kind of try and figure out where we're going to end up. And I don't think we do that in our personal lives. So.
Absolutely, yeah. It's about taking a step back and making sure that you're kind of following your own path and your own dreams and your own vision of what success looks like, and not just copying and emulating other people's out there, because we get paralysis of all this on LinkedIn, all this information. We look at it and go, "Oh, that looks good, let's just take that." But taking that step back is important. And yeah, it was interesting with the with what Jake said about the mindset, behavior and culture. Well, I think is very similar. Mindset, behavior, habit, same thing really. They're the steps that we need to get right before we start working out what AI and automations that we put on there into our stack, into our systems. Otherwise we just end up expediting chaos. So we need to get the basics right first.
What's the old Henry Fordism? If I'd have asked people what they'd wanted, they'd have said a faster horse.
Yeah, it's the one.
Of what it is. Yeah, sometimes, yeah, you've got to realize you might have a few sacred cows on your hand, and some things might need to change before we try and put the pedal down with any kind of automation. I agree. Yeah, I agree. Matt, moving on to you, my friend. 3 a.m. Matt. So first of all, why am I calling you 3 a.m. Matt? Just so people can be aware of what the heck all that is about, and introduction to yourselves.
Yeah. So thanks, Dan. So normally I'm in New York, right, and agreed to this at 6 a.m. And last minute, I ended up having to do a trip to LA. So it's currently 3 a.m. here on the West Coast. But the good news is for me and for you, the poor people who need to listen to me, is that I'm still on New York time, right? So for me, it's really 6 a.m. It's not that bad. It looks worse than it is. Big thing though, there's a huge once in a decade weather event out here. Like the wind is howling. It's power outages all over the place from what I can see. So interesting day to be in LA. That being said, no power loss here, no issues yet. Hopefully my next flight gets out okay. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Matt Topper. I'm a longtime MSPer turned vendor several years ago. And while I'm best known for security, I really spent a lot of time doing everything that you can do at an MSP, right? All of us were in those multiple roles, multiple hats deals. The organization I was with started with 4 or 5 people when I came on, and was 400 or 500 by the time I left, just through every significant growth phase. And what I do at ConnectWise, I was responsible for the IT Nation Secure conference, and I'm doing a smaller, condensed version of that uh, on Workshop Monday. And the big thing that you'll get from me is a couple of things. One is extremely interactive content, right? We like to involve the audience. We like to talk about what the next step would be in a given scenario. We like to bounce ideas off of each other. And I learn from the audience, like Dan mentioned, as much as they learn from me. Um, the other big thing, though, is that my promise when delivering content is that you will never get from me something that I like to describe as like marketing masquerading as education, those kind of fake, uh, we say they're educational, really just a product demo. I don't do those. This is truly a way to get experience and knowledge in how to do security better, how to architect security better, and frankly, hear a couple good war stories. That's always the highlight of my speaking events. And so we're going to cover a lot of things. We're going to cover about GRC, which I'm one of those weird security guys that likes governance and compliance. We're going to talk about incident response. We're going to talk about risk management and talk about what the current threat landscape is. And all of this is in a way to better our security architecture, right? So I was involved in client security and internal security, but also I was involved enough in the business side and operational side to talk about how to connect those together, right? So one of the big things I talk about when I'm facilitating the Evolve Peer Group on cybersecurity is that intersection between trying to view security through a business lens, right? It's not as simple as just go address all of this risk, try to get it down to zero. Trying to understand the intersection of there's a point at which it makes sense to accept the risk. And how do you find that? How do you find that balance in working with a client? So all of this intersection with security, how to do it in a business way, and just how to have some fun doing it. That's what to expect out of IT Nation Secure in London. And I'll be more awake than this, so that'll be better for everyone.
Matt, thank you. And for everyone listening, at about 10:45 a.m. when we all start, everyone's logging in, testing microphones and things. And then all of a sudden I learned that the person I asked to get up at 6 a.m. had to not go to bed till 3. Is officially a I might need to send apology stuff later on, if you know what I mean. So Matt, thank you. Thank you for that. I do feel suitably terrible for the fact that I've got you on a call at 3 o'clock in the morning. There's one other thing that I'd add in both cases. So both these subject areas, and it goes for any of our workshop content, really goes for any of our conference content as well, is imagine if you're watching this and you lead or own perhaps a managed service provider and you're thinking, how could I get some of my team to meet other people that do what they do? So if somebody, perhaps it's not their only role in leading security in your business, there's no prerequisite for joining either of these workshops or any of our other workshops. It could be a hat that they wear, in addition to, multiple other hats. We've all been there. Then wouldn't it be amazing if all of a sudden they met people who are also doing what they're doing? They're responsible for coming up with the frameworks, with the tooling, with the ideas, with the training of how to become better with Matt's case at cybersecurity, how to better defend your own business and the businesses you serve. And in Chris's case, how they can better lead up through a service function to be a better contributor at the business level and not just at the service board level, for example. So wouldn't it be amazing if they had that reference of other people who are here in the region that they can get to know, that they can add on LinkedIn, they can add on WhatsApp, and they can have access to, and they can build that peer network out in the industry. So all of a sudden you have ideas coming into your business that you didn't have to invent and people didn't have to go and figure out. And that's such an important part, I think, of every event, not just in our workshops, but really focus there because it's role based, because we're looking at different disciplines. So it's about putting the right people together. So hugely important thing. But to both of you, Chris, I'll start with you. Just take a bit of a wider view of the industry. What are some of the things that you're seeing? What would be if we can narrow it down to one key thing that you're seeing from all the MSPs that you work with across the community, across the communities? What are you seeing? What's on people's minds at the moment? What's keeping people awake, or what the opportunity that people are trying to move towards?
Yeah, I think you did a much better job at introducing my workshop than I did. I did a rubbish job, so thanks for that. But the main thing, we're in a weird world. MSP land is a very weird world because not only do you need to be the experts at running a business, you need to be the experts and at the forefront of technology that is changing all of the time. And now we've hit this new boom, the AI boom. I see a lot of, there's two things that I see a lot of with the MSPs I work with. One is we've been beating this drum for quite a while about how poor MSPs are at sales and marketing. And I know that is a wide blanket, but this is the general theme. So there's been a lot of focus on that over the years, and MSPs have actually started getting really good at it. So understanding now what the differentiator is, I mentioned it a short while ago, is the people. And if we focus on the people, because that's now gone by the wayside, because all of our efforts have gone into being really good at pushing, from a founder's perspective, being really good at pushing the sales and marketing, or at least getting better at it, and putting the focus there, then maybe the operational element has been overlooked somewhat. So we might then go, okay, we've got a target. We only brought one client in last year as an MSP, and now we've got a target, and that target is we're going to bring 5 in a month. Wow, how are you going to do that? How are you going to service those people? Where's the chaos going to kind of fall after it? So really, I see that. I see these really high targets that we're pushing in to appease that bigger picture of where we're trying to get to. The other thing I see as well is not to step too much on Matt's toes here, but I'm sure Matt can kind of validate this with Claude Code, especially AI, all of this kind of vibe coding, founders going, oh, we can go and do this, we can go and build this. And there's a lot of, you just need to read Reddit of these things that have been built, and Swiss cheese, and basically a hacker's dream to just go through Reddit and find some of these, oh, I've done this, I've no idea what I'm doing, but I've done it. So yeah, and I've done it myself, kind of spent hours on Lovable, realized that what I've done cannot put data in that. And then even kind of gone through Claude Code and realized I built on like Next.js version like 14 or something like that, and what we're on now, 16, and Superbase and all these holes and RLS. And I've done it and I've wasted lots of time, but it's actually good time for me to waste because I understand it a little bit better. But there's a lot of this out there where we're creating our own vulnerabilities and we're moving away from what it is that we're actually great at. So yeah, they're the two big things that I see at the moment.
Do you know what's really funny? I had a conversation with someone the other day that said we're moving back to the access era. You know what I mean? Where everyone used to roll their own access database to one extent or another, and we thought that was the best use of time. Another one was FileMaker. I remember affectionately a FileMaker database that occasionally used to go home with the managing director and not come back in the morning if the MD wasn't there, because he'd taken it home to work on it. So it was, yeah, it's a funny world, isn't it? We just all of a sudden the LLM makes it faster.
I do think it's interesting as well. GRC, big fan of. I've done quite a bit of work with Mostyn in the past, Mostyn Thomas. Yeah, I'm very much behind governance, risk, and compliance. But there needs to be a balance between operational viability and being secure at the same time. You know, understanding what data, do we lock everything down? Not to get too kind of geeky, it's like new information to me, so I want to talk about it. So I started going through like RLS, role level security, and looking at all this stuff that's public. And I'm like, well, I don't need to be public, so I'm just going to do everything I can to make it authenticated. But when it was authenticated, then I couldn't do anything at all in the stuff that I built, so it became just pretty nothing. It became absolutely nothing. So there needs to be a level of, like, the GRC needs to be in tandem with operational viability and what benefit whatever it is that you're building adds. Now, I'm not an expert in this. This is just operational. I'm a non-technical person. From an operational perspective, it's kind of everything that we do is it's one big ecosystem. So what is it that we're serving? We need to understand the things that are happening in the background.
Matt, how about you?
Dan, did you wake me up at 3 a.m. to talk about FileMaker? That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. I know you love it.
Oh, man.
I know you love it. Everyone, we'll get on to Visual Fox Pro next. And there's a few of them still running out there as well.
Oh, I can think of a few clients that might still have it. You know what? The AI conversation, I think, is very interesting. And to your point, Chris, I think it's an interesting debate. Might not be the exact right word, but conversation around the balance between the ability to create and code something new that you couldn't do before versus the potential limitation of only using AI code builders to help you with things that you could have otherwise generated yourself. And what I mean by that is there's a line of thought out there that you should use AI coding tools to only automate things that you would otherwise be capable of writing because you can understand and debug the code and you're saving yourself some steps and some boilerplate. But then the other thing is you start to see what's possible with vibe coding and just describing an outcome, and the conversation turns to, well, why wouldn't I take advantage of this and the incredible productivity gain? And of course, the answer is potentially security risk and the risk that it won't do what you think it's going to do, et cetera, and so on. And I think the interesting part of that from a debate or operations perspective is I don't think we know the answer to this as an industry as far as where we're going to be, right? Is the security concern so great that you don't take advantage of it? Or do you somewhat throw that out the window and say, well, the productivity gain is so great that we're going to have to accept and live with the security concern and hope it catches up? And I think in the conversations that we have coming up in a couple of weeks, one of the things that I'll try to emphasize is that we don't know the answer to that question yet, right? If I stand on stage and tell you it absolutely has to be this way or absolutely has to be that way, that's snake oil. Like we just don't know as an industry what our risk tolerance is going to be. And I think the thing that we can do as a group is trying to help each other figure out for each organization how much risk am I okay with taking on this, right? Is I about to automate something that is so fantastically productivity gaining that I'm okay with accepting that there might be a security concern based on the potential impact of what would happen if it was compromised. Maybe it's something low priority or low impact. Maybe it's something super high risk and I do need to limit myself. And just having a conversation about what those questions to ask are and how to determine what your own personal and organizational tolerances are, I think that's a huge step. And I think it's good for us to admit that we're not on stage reading the prophet from on high of exactly what the the risk has to be here, right? We're here to help you make that decision for yourself.
Yeah, I think also taking that down to the client level is huge, because what do team members want to do when clients ask them a question? They want to say yes. That's usually the guiding factor I find in most. They want to do the right thing by the client. Now all of a sudden you put that into weighing up automation or AI tools versus potential security risks to that client's posture, data, processes. That's a really difficult conversation. That's a really, really difficult conversation, because someone comes to you and says, we've seen this thing. It looks amazing. I found a YouTube video. It looks really easy. We should do it. Like, could you install it? Could you do this thing? Could you set it up? And you're like,
Well, and this goes into Chris, what some of you were describing before, right? If you go back to the days when, hopefully prior days, when people were making their own access databases and FileMaker databases, things like that, what's the support boundary of that, right? Do you troubleshoot only the AI tool itself, or are you getting involved in operationally troubleshooting something someone else created, right? I know for most of us, if their own personal access database stopped working, the answer was go get something with support, reliability. But we had, AI and some of the stuff you can create like that is so new that we don't really know where those operational lines are going to be yet. So I think it's another thing that it's exploratory in some ways for us as an industry to try and answer that question. Me personally, I think it's just like FileMaker and Access, where if Copilot won't open, you troubleshoot that, then something you created, you're somewhat on your own. But the industry could change to the point where that becomes so business critical that that's not really an option anymore. And I'm curious to hear what everyone's thoughts are going to be on that.
absolutely.
I
I'll
think
give you a fun one from when I was from many moons ago. Somebody I used to work with in an internal IT capacity, and he was really good. He's a really good coder. Still is great scripter. Will script anything. I could script mass Active Directory migrations of thousands of users between domains, things like that, like proper scripting. And he said, I learned to do it because we used to have a database that we used to use, but it wasn't on SQL. So to back it up, you have to shut it down, because if not, you couldn't get the backup into it. So he said that my boss at the time knew what time I'd gone home because you could look at the graceful shutdown time on the database because it put it in the log. So I learned how to script so I could shut the database down and go home in the middle of the afternoon when he didn't know. I was like, I love that.
It's QuickBooks. That's what it is.
Bonus points for creativity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I thought so.
I think what's key is sorry, I just wanted to add something with are we actually fixing a real problem, or are we creating a problem to fix? And you can go back to the trainer companies, because before, it's not like we couldn't walk before there was no trainer companies. And actually, back when there was no trainer companies, if you ever read a book called Born to Run, it's a great book. There's a tribe called the Tarahumara. I think I pronounce it correctly. And they're like one of the fastest, longest distance runners on the planet. And then one of the trainer companies wanted to sponsor them. They gave them some trainers and they ran with them, and they were dead last. And then they threw them in the bin, and then they ran, and then they ended up winning it. So are we fixing a problem, or are we creating a problem and then fixing it ourselves? And I think understanding that with what we're trying to do, with whatever tools that we're trying to build and vibe code and things like that, is key. That's a key aspect. But also symptoms and root cause. A lot of the time we kind of look at a symptom, and what we need to do is keep digging and holistically fix it and root cause. So like in my workshop, a lot of the work that we're doing there and talking about is all about root cause, is all about where this kind of issue comes from. Because guess what? Service delivery gets blamed for everything, but they're not necessarily the foundation of the problem. So yeah, all of it is interconnected.
Yeah, Chris, I love that one. I had a conversation with a colleague yesterday, and I said exactly those words. I said, everybody always blames the help desk. Everybody. But funnily enough, 100, well, I say 100, high 90s% of your clients will interact with your help desk team, because funnily enough, they call them when they're stuck. Maybe 1% will see your invoice. Maybe 10% will meet an account manager. And so funnily enough, most of the noise is going to come from the team in which 100% of people encounter, and they only encounter them when something's not right. And so that is an uphill struggle. So that was when you and I were talking, and that was one of the things I was so excited about, because having hosted our IT Nation Evolve service leader peer groups last week, one of the things that I said to that group was, make 2026 the year that you lead up. Don't wait for the stone tablets to come down off the mountain with your commandments of what to do and how to do it, because the person at the top might be just as confused about that as you are. But make this the year that you learn to lead upwards, and not just in terms of tickets and boards and automations and workflows, but in terms of like how the business views your department and how it views what you do and the success that you have and the challenges that you have. And for me, that's just, if people could do that, I think the changes would be transformational. And of course, that's exactly what you're addressing, or part of what you're addressing and you're going to be working with.
Absolutely. Flip the org chart upside down. When I worked back in my MSP days, Andrew Allen, the CEO of Abyss, was very clear, and it wasn't just words. It was like, take the CEO. You're the least important person in the business, really. Sorry, but you are. You're not the person. If you take a week off, hopefully the business won't crumble. You take your first liners out of the mix, you got a problem. So yeah, turn it around the other way. You can look at it bottom up, top down, or you can go the Silicon Valley way and go middle out. You get the pun there. But yeah, everybody's there for a reason, but the people who are on the front line, they need to understand what it is that has been sold. Go back to what I was saying before. We've had this push on selling, growth, more. What has been sold? Are we over promising? Is it being communicated to the service desk? Have we got the automations, the flows, the information, the documentation, everything in place that allows us to understand, is there exceptions in the MSA? Is it been documented? Is it hitting the PSA? All of this stuff, service delivery need to know about.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I will mention no names and no pat drill on these things, but they're always fun to bring up. Story from a partner of when a little bit of enthusiastic growth, shall we say, kind of can go a bit left field. Of took on a client with a very bespoke piece of software. Well, sorry, it wasn't bespoke. It's niche. It's mass manufactured but niche. And at the time, it was just behind the scenes was like, how hard can it be? Kind of conversation, like Clarkson's Farm style. And anyway, day one of the contract, client signed pretty immediately. Day one of the contract, call comes into the help desk around said niche piece of software. First thing they do is contact the manufacturer. And the manufacturer says, yeah, that's wonderful. Like you need at least like 3 highly trained certified people within your business to be able to call us to even have a conversation about this. We can't see that you've got any. And those training courses are like hideously expensive and take 6 months and all those kind of that sort of fun stuff. So that was an interesting day at the farm, I think is the a great example of exactly what you've just said.
Be careful what you wish for. Yeah.
A quote I read recently. I love quotes because they say things with more brevity than I can. Of if your business can't function without you, it will never grow beyond you. And I love that one. Of we've all got to get rid of the hero complex in what we do. Everyone loves being in the middle of everything, and I've spoken to MSP owners that have secretly had team members sending ticket updates as them, when in reality it's the owner that's fixed the problem because they like it and they want to do it, and makes us all feel good, gives us a good dopamine hit while we're at it, and busting out the old Exchange database skills every once in a while, but it doesn't get you anywhere.
It's like that savior complex and the victim rescuer persecutor triangle. What do we want to play? Who do we want to be? But sometimes, although it's painful, taking that step back a little bit and letting somebody fail. In my newsletter we talked about the turn that ship around, which is little and often, constantly work with the team, with the people, but allow them to own it, make decisions, fail a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, and you'll find new ways of doing
things that
you never would have thought about. That's the thing. Just because it's different doesn't mean it's worse either. Matt, so this is one of the things that people said to me over many years was, I love the look of what that thing you do in Orlando in June. Why is it only in Orlando? And of course, this is this is our opportunity, isn't it? This is our just to bring home to people. We are bringing the circus to London. We're bringing IT Nation Secure. It's not a session. It's not a breakout. It's not a, it's IT Nation Secure. And I think it's worth kind of pointing out to people, because I have had that. And the people who know that they've politely dropped that feedback to me, this one's for you. And this is what we're doing. So Matt, talk a little bit about what you got planned for the day.
Yeah, so I've heard that too. And to be clear, IT Nation Secure in London is not just a track, it's an immersive security experience. It's all about trying to up our game security wise. And what I mean by that is there's internal, there's external, there's client facing, there's GRC, there's incident response. We're going to try and cover all of that. You're going to hear a lot from me during the day, for better or worse. You're going to hear from other MSPs. You will hear from some vendor subject matter experts, and to be clear, they're speaking as subject matter experts, not as product pitches. And everything we do is going to be interactive. And one of the things that I'd like to do, one of the lenses that I like to frame sessions through, is I want to cover something that's not normally covered, that the audience probably hasn't seen before, and that's going to be directly relevant to how you talk about security day to day. So example topic is we're going to do interactive tabletop exercise throughout the whole audience, not just like a panel that comes up and you get to watch, you get to participate and decide what the next step is going to be, and then we'll talk about it as a group, right? There's no right or wrong answer. Well, just there's some wrong answers, but there's no one right answer. We're going to talk about things like the potential mental health side of security, right? The idea of during an incident, how stressed your resources get and how stressed your techs get from being up for 24 hours straight, and how that impacts your incident response, or what the idea of having this constant barrage of security alerts on a network that you feel like you have to protect does to you from an emotional standpoint, which is something that isn't talked about that often. We're going to talk about what the current threat landscape is for MSPs. We are going to touch the AI lightning rod in some ways. I feel like we're we're not allowed to have a conference if we don't talk about it in some way. But it'll be a conversation like we started to have earlier during this live stream, right? Like, let's talk about the things we know, let's talk about the things we don't, and collectively move up where we are as an industry, right? It's not me professing, it's not any of our speakers professing this is the one true way. There may be a couple instances of that depending on specific things, but all in all, it's a way to explore and learn and grow together, very much like a peer group facilitation. We want to help each other get better, and in security, nobody has all the answers. I don't have all the answers. None of our speakers have all the answers, and the audience doesn't have all the answers. Collectively, we have a lot of the answers, and so the goal of that is to collectively take our knowledge and improve the security posture of everyone in the room, or at the very least to have you go back with, these are the things we need to look at, these are the questions we need to ask ourselves, and these are some things that either Matt or the audience said that we can take away and start implementing tomorrow, either from a technical or administrative or policy angle, that we're going to get better. And that's the goal. I want everyone to leave IT Nation Secure saying that I learned something and a way to make my business or my client's business more secure, more resilient, better able to respond when something goes wrong. I think we're going to do that. We changed the format of IT Nation Secure last June to go around that angle, and the feedback from the community was fantastic, right? The feedback was, this is what we wanted. We wanted less death by PowerPoint. We wanted more interactive. We wanted more just talking about our issues and seeing if we can come up with solutions together and learning from both the speakers and each other. And when you do death by PowerPoint, yeah, you get to learn from the speaker. You don't get to learn from each other as much. So that's the goal. I think we're going to succeed because we've pulled off the same format before on a larger scale. And the magic of IT Nation Secure, I think, is the ability to learn from the other audience members, and we're going to focus heavily on that.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing. And looking forward to seeing it, and also looking forward to, more than anything, do you know what, the relationships that people make off the back of it. It's just knowing that people are going to leave at the end of the conference, but they're going to leave on a Monday, ready to come back on Tuesday, of course, having had that day and having built their community, and by having some other people who are in their corner and they're not alone doing what they do anymore, realizing that there's other people out there who are also on the same journey that I'm on. But the great thing is we all excel at different parts of that journey. And so what is your challenge is someone else's success, and they've got that nailed. But the great thing is probably the reverse is true from you to them, of everyone can help each other. And that's what always never ceases to amaze me. Someone who can come in and thinking, I've got to learn from everyone, I'm in some way inferior. And then within about an hour, they realize, actually, no, I knew more than I thought I did, and I can help other people and they can help me. And yeah, that's what I love, is seeing people having that community and building it themselves.
They're going to fill up their Rolodex to your comment before.
I've got to start using that. I'm really showing my age. It's one of those words where my kids would just look at me and go, what? Mind you saying that, all the retro stuff's coming back on whatever social platforms they use that I can't know about, because then they wouldn't be cool. So it's but my 14-year-old would like a brick phone and some form of portable music player. Of course, we sold ours for like a couple of bucks, like years ago. Ours went for like pounds on the dollar, pennies on the dollar, even years ago. And now, of course, they're all going to be worth a fortune. But
yeah, right. The old iPods are going to be cool again.
They already are, I think. After, of course, ours all went to a car boot sale at some point in time. So, right, I have an eye on the time, and I'm going to have a person in my ear quite soon with Simon, as I affectionately know for those that used to watch the Scott Mills Breakfast Show, as the one who doesn't speak. Will be in my ear in a minute, warning me about timings and telling me off for overrunning. But a huge thank you, Matt, Chris. I'll let you close out. Final words for people as we wrap up the stream. You've got your workshops coming up. We've got the conference coming up too. Why should, not just your workshop, but why do you think people should be there? Like everyone looks at these things these days and thinks, oh, it's great, but I'm really busy. I've got loads going on, and maybe next time. Why would you say that people should take that time and act, if they're on the fence? Why should they do it? Chris, take it away.
Yeah, a big fan of the IT Nation. Big fan of community and peer groups. Go back to what my business is called, Ethikai and Ikigai. It's just, we're all on, somebody said before, we're all on our own journey. It's to ourselves, we're all Truman, aren't we? We've all got our own Truman show going on. And actually, when we take a step back, there's actually a lot of us that have got our own Truman show going on. So when we come together and we share, it's such an amazing space, and IT Nation do this actually really well. I'm not just saying that because I'm on here. I had the privilege of being over in Orlando not too long ago, and there's just constant learning from different people, different stages of their journey, and everybody's happy to help one another, and it's amazing to see. The whole point of the workshops is to reinforce that, to emphasize that. So like with my workshop, this is not just for C-suite leaders. This is anybody and everybody. If you work in an MSP, this is for you, because you're part of that. You're one of the cogs that makes that machine work. So if you want to find out where some of the barriers are, where some of the chaos kind of looms in your business that you want to just be able to fix. There are no silver bullets in life. The irony with a silver bullet is that's what killed the beast, not what saves it. So be careful looking for one. But yeah, really looking forward to IT Nation. And thanks for having me on.
Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you for being a go-giver to the community. Matt, how about you?
Well, I've plugged my own workshop enough at this point, and what I'll say is at IT Nation events, and this is not just me saying it because I'm with ConnectWise now. I felt this way when I was attending these as an MSP. There's an energy to IT Nation events that you don't necessarily see the same way at really any other industry conference. There's this aura of openness and mutual learning and mutual benefit for everyone that's there. You can go up to somebody standing in the lunch line and saying, how do you deal with this issue in your organization? And you know what? That can turn into not only a 5-10 minute conversation, somebody who you stay in touch with for the next 10 years. And I have stories like that of people who I just walked up to, waiting for a session to start or waiting for lunch, and they became contacts I stayed in touch with, right? Everyone is genuinely looking to help each other. And I don't know that I've seen that at any other event anywhere. It's extremely refreshing, and it's been like that at every event I've ever been to around IT Nation. I used that word magic before somewhat facetiously, but there really is an energy and magic around IT Nation that these events are here for, yes, for delivering content, but really for bringing people together, and they succeed at doing that more so than any other channel event I've seen. So if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for a genuine community to come help you and learn from each other, IT Nation is the place to be.
That's why I wake him up at 3 o'clock in the morning, because that is gold. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, my friend, and thank you for braving the middle of the night in Los Angeles in the weird weather. You see, when Chris and I think of Los Angeles, we just think of a beach. So
yeah, me too. I didn't think this was possible here. Like the bad weather followed me from New York.
Where is the next flight, or is it back to New York? Are you going on, or are you going home?
It's somewhere else in California. I think Sacramento,
okay.
Maybe. So not
okay. Almost there. So here's hoping that somewhere around the LAX airport there is a break in the clouds, if you know, and that plane is making it out. Thank you very much, and thank you to you both. Thank you to our panelists, and thank you for taking the time to join us today. Share your knowledge and expertise. That's what IT Nation is all about. It's all about learning and sharing together as a community so that we can all grow. But we want you to be able to attend IT Nation Europe. Peter Kajawa, the EVP of IT Nation and Service Leadership, said on main stage last year that one of his goals for what we do as a department and what we do as a community here inside of ConnectWise was to be able to make price less of a barrier for people to attend our events. And for today, only off the back of this one, we are very pleased to be able to offer each and every person listening, watching, in any way, shape or form that you are, the ability to have our early bird pricing. Is only until the end of today. It's Wednesday, the 18th of February. There is a code of ITNC EUR 200. This is all one bit, all one block. ITNC EUR 200. So if you use that today, then you will be able to have our early bird pricing back again until the end of today. So what are you waiting for? If you're on the fence, in the words of Raja Pagadala, who joined us on our last live stream, just do it. Don't procrastinate. Just do it. You won't regret it. And we look forward to seeing you at the Hilton London Metropole from the 9th to the 11th of March for IT Nation Connect Europe 2026. It's going to be huge, and I cannot wait. So all our keynotes, all our workshops, all our breakout sessions, our 2 community socials, all included in an all access pass. There is nothing else to find once that you are registered. So with that code ITNC EUR200, you can have our all access pass, but until the end of today. So on behalf of myself, on our panelists, from the entire team here at ConnectWise, on behalf of our CEO Manny Ravello, on behalf of Russ Humphreys, Lee Silverstone, Mary Frances Benvelton, David Racepour, Peter Kajawa, and the entire team, Russ Humphreys, we will see you at IT Nation Connect Europe 2026. It's going to be big. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon. Take care. And in the words of the Truman Show, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
What are we going to do here this week? We're going to build our community.
Gas in the tank, got my bags in the back. I got nothing but dreams, and I'm okay with that. I never listen when they tell me to stop. I got energy to burn, I love the view from the top, yeah. I gotta keep on moving. I gotta keep on.
Had some solid effort in the putt-putt pavilion last